If you want to pump your body and expand your mind, there's only one place to go. Mind Pump. Mind Pump with your hosts, Sal DiStefano, Adam Schaefer, and Justin Andrews.
In this super duper awesome episode of the Mind Pump.
It's the best.
Look, for the first 43 minutes, we talk about random current events and fun stuff. And then we get into the fitness portion of this episode. Here's what we talked about. We start out by talking about backseat drivers and how annoying they are.
No survivors.
And I'm sorry, honey, I talked about some stuff you do when we drive.
Yeah.
We talked about Felix Gray blue blocking glasses. These are our blue blockers of choice. They don't turn everything orange and yellow. They're clear, they look good, and yet they still block the blue light that can prevent you from sleeping good or from damaging your eyes or causing headaches when you work in front of your computer. So here's what you do. Go to Felix Gray, that's FELIXGRAY, glasses.com/mindpump, and you'll get free shipping and free returns. Then we talked about Justin's carne asada. Sounds like a cool dance he does. He made it with butcher box meat, which is grass-fed, high-quality meat sent to your door. The best quality meat that I've found. And for the best prices. Oh, and by the way, if you sign up for Butcher Box now, you're going to get bacon forever. That's right, bacon for life. Crazy promotion. Here's what you do. Go to butcherbox.com/mindpump. Sign up. You'll get the bacon for life. That's basically free bacon in every single box for the life of your subscription. Oh, and you get $20 off your first box too. I think they're losing their minds. Then we talked about how Justin is looking for some meat sent to him in his email. He's actually looking for male models.
Hey, slide me the DMs, yo.
We need some
nudes, please.
No, we need some male models for our upcoming MAPS programs and guides. If you're fit, functional, you got good mobility, and you don't mind coming to the San Jose area.
And you're handsome, okay? Come on.
Contact Justin. Then we talked about
ugly guys.
We talked about an unknown pro physique competitor's insane supplement stack. He doesn't take all those supplements.
Nah, he doesn't even listen.
He's full of shit.
Fine.
Then I talked about a study talking about chronic inflammation and motivation, how chronic motivation reduces dopamine, which is probably why when you're inflamed, you feel like doing nothing. We gave our workout updates. You want to guess who's having the best workouts? It's me. Then we talked about how gut bacteria is turning blood into type O. This is a breakthrough, kind of crazy.
Sounds like magic.
Adam talked about new cryptocurrency from Facebook. That's crazy. Oh, and by the way, our live event in Denver, which was coming up, is now sold out. But we still have tickets available for San Francisco and Seattle. Just go to mindpumplive.com to get your tickets to meet us live. Then we get into the fitness portion of this episode. The first question, what's the best rest time between sets for building muscle? You'll be surprised with the answer in that part of this episode. Next question, if you wake up with a kink in your neck or your shoulders, is it okay to prime and work out through the soreness, or should you just not move?
May have been that kinky stuff.
Next question, how can you tell whether a study is BS or not? Like, how can you find the right studies to pay attention to, and how can you find the wrong studies that you should ignore? And the final question, this person's talking about Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson both going down with serious injuries. Is it the trainer's fault? Do we blame the NBA? Like, we have a nice discussion here about sports ball and all the injuries that happen.
Oh, yeah, Sal sounded like a real ESPN sports announcer.
Isn't that
great? That was amazing.
Isn't that great? Also, this month, our most effective muscle building, strength building, metabolism boosting program, MAP Strong. This is a program designed, it's different than your traditional bodybuilding type workouts. It's hard, but you can do it in a gym. It is awesome, extremely effective. Listen, it's 50% off. Half off this month only. Here's what you do to sign up. Go to mapsstrong.com, MAPSSTRONG.com, and use the code STRONG50, STRONG50 for the discount. Make sure you do it now.
Justin and I were serenading Rachel this morning.
Wow.
We were.
That's
We missed our third wheel.
trying to get someone to quit working here or what? What's going on?
She said I actually had
She appreciated it.
fantastic voice.
You're her boss too. Yeah. Of course you didn't see it.
Yeah, it was harmony.
Yeah, it's funny. I give her a raise right after that. I know.
She's like, Adam, I know Sal says your voice is terrible. Yeah. You know, it's a good thing it gets recorded on the podcast and you can hear it yourself and you know.
I feel like it's got better though. You know, like his pitch, it's increased a little
Lessons
bit.
are paying off. Yeah. Lessons are paying off.
No, I think it's funny. I think it's my ex. I've never talked crap about her, but I'm about to right now.
Not the greatest singer.
No, bro. Like for the first few years I was married to her, I thought that she was pretending.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So she would sing a song, and I think like, oh, she's just trying to sound like, some people make fun of voices and stuff. And I thought for sure she was pretending. And I remember it was like a few years into our marriage, she was singing, and I kind of laughed.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Why are you laughing?" I'm like, "Cause the way you're singing,
you're messing around, right?
The way you're singing, you're messing around."
I'm like, "The way you're singing." She's like, "What do you mean? You're making fun of me?" And I'm like, and then it dawned on me, like, "Oh wow, that's how terrible
I'm
you are."
trying hard.
I had no idea,
dude. That's so funny. That reminds me of a girlfriend I had, and thankfully Courtney's like she could pass, but like this girl before that, we'd drive these long drives because she went to Cal Poly. And as we're driving home, I'd hear something on the radio, like Weezer or something, like "Say It Ain't So" comes on, and I start singing. We're all having a good time. And then she sings like "Say It Ain't So," like really, like just like off and all over the place. And I was like, "Was that serious? Like, were you really trying there?"
We should tell old girlfriend stories, dude. I was thinking that reminds me. I've dated this girl who I'm just thinking of like long drives, and I remember
some of those are fun.
I remember the first time she ever drove us somewhere. This girl I dated, Jimena, and she would fucking brake check. Like, hey, you ever been with someone who does that? Like,
oh my god,
hard.
no.
Like someone who could be like half a mile in front of you, and their lights go on, and they brake hell hard. You're doing like 65, 70 in the fast lane, and they see the car in front, like just the lights come on, and then they brake check every single time.
Oh my god, drive me crazy.
We were on our way to. I think we went to a Warriors game, so it was like an hour commute during one of these weekdays. Man, I remember thinking too after that, I was like, I will never go anywhere with that girl again driving me somewhere. It was the whole time, like my palms are all sweating from gripping the seats.
I've had that where they're in the passenger seat and they see things like happening, 50, 100 yards away, and they're like, "Whoa, my God, you gotta stop!" And like grab my arm, like, what's going? I'm slowing down.
Does that? Okay, that's every time I drive.
Yeah.
Does that infuriate you? Like it infuriates me because here's what.
Calm down.
You're driving and then they freak out. And then it instantly causes you to get that visceral reaction.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, no. And then you're like, what? The car way the fuck up there hit the brakes?
Yeah.
There's a guy riding the bike over there.
Yeah, everybody calm down. Like, everybody needs to relax. No, Jessica, does not like it that I hit my brakes. And she's going to disagree with me when she hears this appropriately. No, I got to hit the brakes way the fuck before the car is going to slow. So she's like, don't you watch the brake. I'm like, listen, we got hella time.
Oh, she does that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I would go crazy
totally,
she's a backstreet driver.
I guarantee she's listening right now angry because she's like, no, you don't hit him.
I'd be like, hey, one more time, you're riding in the trunk.
Yeah, we've gotten into fights over it.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, because I'll get mad at her and then she'll tell me I'm not driving right. And
thank God Courtney doesn't have pedals. Like, remember when you're in driver's ed and then the other person, like the instructor next to you, had pedals.
She pushes in the floor.
Dude, that used to,
do you see her do that? She stomps.
At one point when I remember I was driving on one of those, getting my hours in, and I was driving through town in Capitola, and there was a stop sign like happening like maybe 20 yards from me. And so I've started to slowly slow down, and then she stomps on it, and we stopped like 10 yards away from even where I should have stopped where the line was. And I was like, what was that? You weren't even paying attention. I'm like, of course I was paying attention. I was gradually slowing down. And so after that, I didn't even put my foot on the brake. I was just wait. I'm like, are you going to brake? I didn't pass that day.
Yeah, oh my God.
Yeah, she didn't mark me off as like hours.
That's hilarious. What a jerk.
I wanted to.
Katrina's pretty good. Every once in a while she'll do the scream out loud or get freaked out because she sees something that maybe I didn't see, or I saw it. I just wasn't scared of it. I saw it coming. But what she does really well is that after she does that, she knows it, because I probably have a look on my face, like a real irritated look after she does that, because it tenses you up.
Bad.
Right, really bad. And then I'll look over at her, especially when it's not that big of a deal. It's like, oh, you saw some cyclist 2 blocks up or whatever. She normally immediately goes like, I'm sorry, I just...
Oh, no, driving is a point of tension for Jessica and I. Like, she'll like to put her foot up on the dash. She's real flexible, right? So she likes to put her... And I tell her, I said, do you know what would happen?
You're just thinking of her leg breaking.
Yeah, I'm like, if we crashed and the airbag came out and your foot was on top of there, do you know where your foot would end up, your leg? You would end up with, your hip would end up next to your ear. Don't put your feet up. And she's like, well, then don't look at your phone. I'm like, but I'm at a stoplight. And then we argue. You know what
I mean? A day in the life, right?
Yeah. It's all
I think we all have that. Yeah.
Anyway,
that's just how it goes.
Anyway, so, I was at home the other day and I couldn't find my Felix Grays, and I had this old pair of blue blockers. And so I put them on, and it made me realize, like, those other blue blockers suck. They're fucking, the orange tint that they have, you can't see.
It distorts everything.
Watching TV is a pain in the ass in them because everything then turns orange.
Can you explain the difference of that? Because we actually, I just got a DM, and I promised that I would look it up, and I reached out to Rachel. I actually think she sent something over to me, and I didn't get a chance to open it about that, because I've gotten messages before. Why is it these blue blockers don't have orange lenses?
Well, the way that the less, I should say, the less quality or the cheaper type of blue blocker glasses work is they use like a really heavy yellow or orangish tint that will block blue light. So that's how they block the blue light. They have this really, really heavy tint. So you put them on they're the really dorky orange looking glasses where the whole world looks orange because you're blocking out the blue light. But the way that Felix Gray works, and the reason why they're blowing up, is they developed this proprietary lens that uses this pigment that's naturally occurring in human eyes, and they're able to integrate them into the lens that blocks the blue light but doesn't change the color of what you're seeing.
Oh, that's cool.
So Felix Gray's got 2 types of glasses, right? They have the daytime ones and the nighttime ones. The daytime ones block out a decent portion of the blue light that you're going to get from electronics, but not too much. And what I mean by that is you want to block out a lot of blue light when you're getting ready for bed, but you don't want to block out all the blue light when you're up, because then it tells your brain to fall asleep. In fact, if you wear really, really powerful blue blockers all day long, you'll find that you're kind of sleepy throughout the day. So their daytime ones are designed for day use. They're designed to be able to work on a computer, avoid eye strain, avoid headaches, avoid some of the damaging effects of blue light without making you feel like you're going to fall asleep. The nighttime ones are the strong ones that block out more of the blue light. Those are the ones that tell your brain that it's time to get ready for bed. Those are the ones I use mostly because I'm not on a computer every single day. When I am, I'll wear the daytime ones, but at night I wear the stronger ones to tell my brain.
I've gotten in the habit of wearing the daytime ones a lot. In fact, someone messaged on one of my Instagram posts because I wear them quite often now. Anytime that
they look good too.
Yeah, well, they're stylish, and the fact if I'm working, I'm always on my phone. Mm-hmm. I'm like staring at, and to me that strains my eyes more than anything is staring at that little screen. That's worse than even the computer or the TV, I feel like. So I try and always now. I mean, I'm not wearing them right now. We're not on computers and stuff like that, but I've got them with me. And when we sit down, and if I start doing work on my phone or the computer, I'll put them on in the daytime and I'll wear them all day. And then when the sun goes down, I switch over to my dark ones.
I got to get better at that. Yeah, because I've stopped the habit of even wearing my glasses, like when I'm reading my phone and when I'm on the computer, and my eyes, like even just reading the screen here in the studio, like I can't like really make it out very well anymore either.
Well, you actually didn't you order just recently the prescription ones, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm waiting for that to come in. I can't wait because then I can get maybe a little bit less of that eye strain from the blue light specifically, and also like because I need glasses, dude. I have to like admit that I'm old and fucking my eyes are shitty.
Did you guys see that they're also they're making them for kids now?
Yes,
that's so cool.
And so here's the crazy thing. I remember, it was like 3 years ago when people were talking about wearing glasses to block blue light, and 3-4 years ago I thought it was hokey. I'm like, whatever, stupid. I'm not gonna wear glasses, whatever. But then the science was coming out, and like the melatonin production alone can be cut down by more than half because you're being exposed to blue light before going to bed. Simply wearing blue light blocking glasses will dramatically, in some cases, increase your melatonin production by something like 90%. Now, why is that important? Well, melatonin is a hormone produced when you're asleep. It's anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory. It's essential for quality sleep. It's an essential hormone. Now, children, I would surmise, are even more susceptible to, just like they are to anything else. They're just more sensitive. And kids nowadays are on electronics all the damn time.
They're bombarded with them.
So I give my kids I have the adult Felix Grace. I didn't have the kids ones. So my kids wear the big ones whenever they're watching TV or whatever at night.
Oh, that's great.
So now that they have kids. Yeah, dude, it's important because kids are on these they're on these screens all the time.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. It's not necessary. Some people don't go to sleep. But you may be one of these people that goes to sleep and wakes up and is like, I don't need to worry about blue light. I go to sleep. You don't realize that there's a difference between quality sleep and just regular sleep.
Right.
And you don't notice the difference until you experience quality sleep. And then you wake up and you go, oh, that's different. Like I feel way more rested, way different than, how I did before.
Just still that that subtle subconscious alertness. Like you don't even realize it's still there, like before you're trying to sleep.
It reminds me of like when I would take a client and I'd have them clean up their diet and then they would go eat out with their friends and eat shitty food or whatever and be like, and then they come back and be like, man, I felt terrible after eating that pizza. Like, why did I feel so bad eating that pizza? I'm like, that's how you used to always feel. You just didn't realize it because you were always in that state. So I think people have we have just chronic terrible sleep, most people. Even just because you knock yourself out because you're, taking a sleeping pill or because you're so exhausted that you fall asleep, doesn't mean you have quality sleep. There's a big difference. And trust me, when you start experiencing the other side, way different. And I bet you that bad sleep is probably, for a lot of people, one of the major reasons why they feel anxious or depressed. Like, I know I do. If I don't get good sleep, I start to notice I'm feeling just irritable or whatever.
Oh, it bleeds into everything you're doing.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah. Dude, you know what I love about summer? Grilling. Outside it's finally like warm outside. I can finally get in my element, dude. I don't have like a real fancy one set up like you, Adam, or anything. It's still like running the little Weber.
Are you using charcoal or do you use the gas?
I charcoal.
Oh, God,
just because the flavor, though, right?
It is.
Like I don't know. There's something like.
Doesn't that take a long time to set up and stuff, though?
Yeah, it does. I have one of those
coffee cans.
Yeah, whatever the fuck you call it. But yeah, you put all the coals in there and then light it with newspaper, and I do it the old school way. So I don't use a lot of lighter fluid or any of that kind of stuff.
So what do? You light it? I'm an idiot because I don't really know what the hell it is. You light it in a little can thing. How long does that take?
Yeah, so that probably takes maybe like 5-10 minutes for it to, all the coals get nice and hot, and then you put it in, and then you put the grill over the top, and then I clean the grill and do that whole thing.
Oh, that's it? Okay.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I'm going to get a Weber.
It's super simple, dude. I mean, you can take these things to the beach.
Bro, you should probably start with like a gas first.
I do have gas.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I use.
Gas is like just hit like
I don't know if you're ready. I don't know if you're ready for the Weber yet.
Yeah, well, it tastes so much better.
Your hands get dirty, so
it
I
does.
don't know, dude.
It takes a little more skill, though. Yeah. What'd you cook up?
So I got the flat iron steak from Butcher Box. They have.
I just ordered that,
dude. You know what's great to do with that was like carne asada, and Courtney had this idea of like doing that and putting the marinade on it. So olive oil, like garlic, cloves, like all kinds.
How long did you leave it in the marinade for?
We leave it in there for a couple hours. So she did that ahead of time, and then I took it out. And so there's a few strips of it. It wasn't like one big long. So sometimes we'll go to the grocery store and we'll get like a really flat, like skirt steak or something like that. That's a big piece. So what was nice was actually there was a couple. I had like 3 or 4 of them. And then I took them out, and then so what you do is you char both sides, and it cooks pretty fast because it's a thin piece of meat.
Right.
But dude, the flavor and everything, and like it just like.
What did you use it? I mean, did you just cut it up and eat it regular? Or did you mix it with anything? What else?
So when you cut it too, you kind of cut it at a diagonal.
Yeah.
And then you kind of shave it off the top and chop it down like that, and then we just put it in tacos.
I was gonna say, so you did tacos.
Yeah, we did tacos, and did.
Do you guys do the soft or the hard?
It's a personal question.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's a personal question.
He's like he's 12.
Yeah, I kind of like it soft, and then it
starts off soft.
Starts off soft. Yeah,
there's nowhere to
corn, dude.
Well, you can't recover from that.
I can't. I'm sorry, I fucked myself on that one. But yeah, like I'm trying to stay away from all flour and all that shit with my issues. So yeah, we had some good. Corn tortillas that we put on there, and
did you see
awesome.
What are the macros on flank? Is supposed to be one of the leanest ones, right, Adam?
I don't know if it's one of the leanest. No, it's not. Filet would be a filet mignon. It would be one of the leanest that you're.
Yeah,
thinking
there's some
of.
fat.
But it's. I mean, I guess it's leaner than ribeye, right?
I love flank.
It's leaner than tri-tip, but it's not like a filet lean or like a top sirloin lean. Those are leaner cuts than that.
I love flank. That's when you go to eat at like a breakfast place and they'll give you steak and eggs. Oftentimes the steak is flank, right?
Yeah, oftentimes I would think, yeah, dude. But I forgot all about carne asada, like because we order it all the time over at Luna or something like that, and I'm just like, dude, when you make it yourself, totally different story.
Oh,
Do you guys both follow my brother-in-law Tom? Do you guys follow him on Instagram? Or
Yes.
no? Did you see what he did yesterday? Did you
I
see
saw his big ass thing of meat.
Yeah, 8 hours. He got down on his tacos.
Yeah.
Is he using Butcher Box too, or is he going with the regular?
I gotta ask Cassie if they use Butcher Box. I don't know if they do or not. I know they have. Like I don't know if that cut was from Butcher Box, but I know that she's used it before. So
I've gotten now to the point where I'm quite I can perceive now the quality of meat pretty dang well without knowing. Like I ate over at my parents' house for Father's Day. My dad grilled up just a bunch of grocery store, meat or whatever, grain fed, whatever.
Yeah.
And I can tell now. Now I can tell. I look at it and now I'm starting to associate the grass fed with just better.
Yeah.
So now I'm not. Although grain fed meat is
It's a different taste.
It tastes good, right? The fat, it's got more fat and stuff. But I'm starting to look at it and realize it's not as good. The quality isn't as good.
Oh, yeah. I've grown to appreciate it for sure.
Yeah,
like the Butcher
totally.
Box quality. Dude, quality meat, let me just tell you something. Like, I've been reaching out recently for, some quality meat for our MAPS program.
What?
what, dude?
I'm just saying.
What?
I need to find a guy.
That was an incredible transition right there.
I'm looking for some quality meat out there. No, like I've been having a hard time because we have good models that have come through and helped, but I have like some good female models I've used that are very consistent, and the guys are inconsistent. So I've been like trying to like slide the DMs to some dudes.
So we need some male models to shoot for our MAPS program.
Yeah.
What kind of look are we looking for right now?
Pretty much like a superhero.
Okay.
No, I don't know. Like I don't. Like this is my problem. I don't know how to articulate.
Well,
it.
athletic,
functional,
athletic, and functional
athletic. Like you got to have good mechanics. Like you got to obviously be like just living, breathing fitness.
Well, that's what I feel like has been the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
Is
because we'll get the muscular models and they have terrible mobility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, now we're looking. Now we pay them, so people need to know this. We're paying models. Where should they contact if they're interested?
They should contact.
Give me your cell phone number.
I know. I was like,
Hey, if you got meat,
408-555.
No. I'm like, I guess you could email me, Justin at mindpumpmedia.com.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
let's just do that.
and these are models for the
I'm
MAPS.
throwing a casting call out there.
Are we doing this for MAPS programs or for the guides or all?
Yeah, all in general. I mean, so we've been on kind of a mission to reface everything, make it all kind of look a little bit more presentable to the mass market out there and compete with your beach bodies and everything else that exists out there. So we're trying to up our game, and so I'm just looking for the good fit for that. But,
so they should email you pictures, right?
Yeah. If I'm sliding you guys the DM, dude,
preferably nudes.
Yeah, it's all business related. Okay, like don't get all excited.
Hey, well, speaking of beef and male models, I have some.
Yes, yeah, more. Let's keep going this direction.
I've got some beef for you. Now, listen to this. This is this has got to be one of my pet peeves right here.
Oh yeah, I like it when Adam's irritated.
I do. This is just like, and I always wondered like how many fucking people like really fall for this and actually buy into this shit. And I don't spend very much time when I come across this because I just don't have time to fucking hate on somebody and what they're doing. But I did read a few of the comments to see, are people like buying into this bullshit or what? So I'm going to read like literally verbatim a post, made by a men's physique champion, right? Who is now picked up, I don't know, his second or third, maybe the fourth since I've known him, supplement line that he's running. And the caption is, I've been getting a handful of DMs that people ask me what new Substack is now that I'm taking, which was probably a bunch of horse shit. Nobody's DMing you. Right. Nobody asked you, bro. Yeah, right. Nobody asked you what you're taking, right? But here's what it is. Upon waking up, listen to all this, and then you guys give me feedback, right? Upon waking up, 1 scoop of BCAA EAA cotton candy, 1 pill of One pill. Oh no, bro, you better hang on tight here, okay?
Okay.
This is just upon waking up, okay?
That's already good.
Right. Upon waking up, 1 scoop of BCAA, EAA cotton candy, 1 pill of shredded as fuck best fat burner available, 2 pills of alpha natural testosterone booster and estrogen blocker. Pre-workout, 3/4 scoop of amped AF, warning, very strong. 1 scoop of anabolic, 1 scoop of pumped as fuck. Then they're going into intro workout. 1.5 scoops anabolic, key for massive pumps. Then it's post-workout. Post-workout's 2 scoops of whey isolate, 1 scoop of BCAA, and then pre-bed, 1 scoop of rested as fuck, grow while you sleep.
Oh my God, you might as well just keister that.
You just gave me diarrhea.
Jeez.
First of all, who is it?
I don't want to. Bro,
Fuck.
It's a men's physique champion.
It's got to be. Is it?
I'm not going to say who. My reason of bringing this up.
That is a champion stack.
I'm sure people listening right now. I'm sure someone.
It could be any number of them because a lot of them are idiots. So,
right.
First of all,
Here's what you want to do. Just like take everything.
Yeah. First of all, no, you don't take all that stuff. I like how he says testosterone booster because he's on fucking steroids.
Yeah.
And why would you take a testosterone booster?
A natural testosterone.
Get the fuck out of here. He doesn't take all that stuff. And all that stuff, if you took all of that in one day, you would wreck your gut.
Dude,
you would wreck your gut.
Destroy.
Yeah, no, it's garbage.
BCAA, you got
the cotton candy BCAAs though.
Yeah,
well, I mean, here's the thing in this, right? Like, whatever, pre-workout, to each their own. We've talked about that before, but
you can't say his name, huh?
the way I don't need to. I already know like half the people read this guy's post for sure.
Rhyme with Schmindia.
He's got a fucking million plus followers, but you're taking, first of all, branched chain amino acids. We've covered
Schmindia.
We've covered this before. Justin, stop it. We've covered this before. Okay, branched chain amino acids. Borderline complete waste of money
unless you're not eating protein,
right?
That makes sense.
Which this person's definitely not missing protein.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? This person's
way.
not missing protein at all. So, and you're taking it twice in a day. That's just ridiculous. Then the very
next
next
have like a huge funnel that he just like pours it all in his face.
The very next supplement is fat burner, which. Stop.
Yeah.
Fat burners still exist.
They don't. Yeah. They don't do shit.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Absolutely crap. Then you take a natural test booster, which we've discussed before. If you don't have abnormally low testosterone, right? If you don't have abnormally low, then a natural testosterone booster will do absolutely nothing for you.
Yeah.
So,
especially if you're this guy, and I know who it is now because I found him, who is on anabolics, a lot of anabolic steroids. Taking a testosterone booster makes absolute 0 sense. 0 sense.
None.
Nothing.
None whatsoever.
He's lying.
And then you have the pre-workout. Okay, whatever. Caffeine, get hyped.
Stimulant time.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. 1 scoop of anabolic. I don't know what anabolic is. It's pre-workout stuff.
Oh, I looked up the ingredients.
ADA, like ATTA?
No, ADA.
Yeah, I got the ingredients are it's got bullshit in it, artificial sweeteners.
Oh, bullshit.
And false dreams. Promises.
It's full of false dreams.
So that's basically what you get.
And then,
muscle deflator.
And then it's probably a nitric oxide thing because it's called pumped as fuck. Great branding here too.
There's a lot of as fucks in there.
And then intro workout, 1.5 scoops of anabolic. Again, more of this pump stuff. So you the scoop you took before the workout wasn't enough. You got to take it halfway through the workout again to get more of it. And then the post-workout, 2 scoops of whey. I mean, I can get down with some whey protein. That's fine. But then another scoop of, how funny is this? 2 scoops of whey isolate after you've already taken your BCAAs this morning, and then you're going to run back BCAAs again after that? Like, what are you doing?
Nothing. He's not doing any of that. All he did was...
And then don't forget, you're taking 1 scoop of rested, which I'm assuming is your casein protein for slow absorption.
No, it's probably got like...
Drink your recovery cocaine.
Let me guess. It's got arginine and L-Dopa and other things that are supposed to increase your, serotonin or whatever while you're sleeping. It's all garbage.
Hilarious, though.
Yeah,
right?
dude, you know what it is?
So much.
Here's what these guys do. Please, this is 100% what they do, okay? And if you're one of these guys and you're like, I'm so angry, mind pump's talking shit, please contact me. We'll talk about this. We'll record it so you could try to defend yourself. I promise you'll sound like an idiot, though, but whatever. I'm warning you, so let's go and do this.
No,
but 100%, what they do is they try to figure out ways to throw in as much shit as possible in one day.
Yeah.
And so they're like, this is what I use throughout the day. And it's like they named every supplement from this company that's sponsoring them.
And I want to be clear that I think me sharing it, part of why I wasn't trying to roll the name under the bus is I wanted to use an example of somebody I know that has millions of people that are looking up to him, because there was a day when I was one of those kids. There was a day that I was 19 years old and I was looking at somebody who had a physique that I admired and I wanted to look like, and I was working my ass off in the gym. Mm-hmm. And if he told me that he was taking all those supplements, I too would think that I need to take those supplements if I one day want to look like him. So the purpose is not to hate. The purpose is not to talk shit or throw shade on somebody else and how they do business or how they make money, even though I think it's a fucking terrible way to have to make money. But it's really more to enlighten the kids that are following these pages, thinking that these things really matter. Like these things do not matter. All the clients that I've ever trained and all the results and bodies that I've sculpted and changed over the 20 years, none of them have ever been because of supplements. Because I got my clients taking some post workout, none of that at all.
You're selling pipe dreams.
No, it's.
How would you now? Imagine this. Imagine some 17-year-old kid is following this moron and is like, oh, okay, I need to take all this stuff. And so what they do is they take exactly that. They saved up their money.
Yeah.
They buy, I don't know how much that's going to cost.
Which is exactly going to happen.
Yeah, $500 worth of supplements or whatever. And they take it all. Now, let me ask you guys, and be honest. Do you think they're going to feel good taking all those supplements every day?
No way.
Do you think their health is going to get better, or do you think it's going to get worse?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, here and there it's not a problem, but you throw that much shit at yourself with just a bunch of fillers and artificial sweeteners and shit, and you do it all day long, you're going to fuck your gut up. I'm speaking from personal experience.
Well, that's what I think, and I think that the passion behind all this, and I just want to, I want people to understand that it's not. I think when even hearing you guys right now, I'm listening to you get all fired up, and it's like it's not coming at the person as much as it is like there's passion behind that, because we all fucked ourselves up doing that and spent a lot of wasted money when I didn't have the money to waste. Like, and that's kind of what I tell people now. It's like, hey, if you got fuck you money and you want to throw away $500 and you're not worried about your gut health and you want to try things out, then hey, to each their own, go for it. But do not think that you need to take any of that stuff to build an incredible physique. You can never take any of that and train correctly, eat correctly, and you'll build just as good of a physique. Now, not as good as physique as the guy who we're talking about right now, because he is on tons of anabolics, so you would have to also take anabolics. But let me tell you, his diet, his discipline, and his anabolics is the reason he looks that way. It's not because anything to do with any of those supplements. You could pull all those supplements out.
You would notice a difference.
Keep his training the same, keep his diet the same, and his steroid stack the same, and he would look exactly the fucking same.
Could you imagine if you took all the money that you spent as a kid on garbage like that and you invested it in like a good training coach? You imagine if you hired a strength coach, like
or a down payment on a house.
Yeah, first exactly. Yeah. You would have saved money first of all, because it would have been cheaper, and you would have gotten way better results. Or even if you just invested in a good fitness program, or you spent it on like a really good gym with a personal trainer or something like that, or just quality food. Like, hey, let me think. I'm spending $200 a month on supplements. What if I took that $200 and bought like steak? I
just can't wait until it dies, that it doesn't make sense for those guys to post like that. Because the reason why it exists is because the consumer keeps spending the money.
Yeah, it works.
Because somebody is using his code and buying $500 of supplements every single month, and that's happening to probably hundreds of people are continuing to do that, and it's funding these people, and it's making a case for why these supplement companies keep pushing it, while these young Instagram celebrities keep using it as a way of making money, is because y'all keep buying it. Like, once everybody stops buying it and buying into the bullshit, it'll die. But until we get savvy and we learn that it has nothing to do with their results, that stuff's going to keep happening. So
we want to buy it, bro, because we want
the pill that does all that shit.
You want to believe so badly that the answer to your problems is just a scoop. Yeah. Of cotton candy powder,
just a pill away,
like
just a snort and blow.
Like, you know what's crazy? Like, I've been trying to work out for years, and I just can't build any muscle. And you know what's crazy? I discovered the answer, and the answer is in this tasty cotton candy flavored drink on top of it.
God.
Oh my God! It's not going to happen, but we
I got
want
a
to believe
six-pack
it.
from cotton candy.
We want to believe it so bad. You know what I mean? And the worst thing about it is, people are going to spend all their time and money thinking that's important, and not spending time and money on the things that really are important. And so then they end up with not just not getting good results, but they actually end up with health problems as a result. Speaking of poor health, just read this fascinating article on chronic inflammation. Trip off this, right? So when you're feeling kind of sick and inflamed, how you just want to stay at home and you don't want to do much and don't want to move or whatever. Evolutionarily speaking, scientists think this makes sense. Like if you're sick, it makes sense to isolate yourself so that you don't spread the disease to other people. And this is why we do this. But they're trying to figure out why. Like what are the actual mechanisms that are happening? And they find is that chronic motivation dramatically reduces dopamine in the brain. So if your health is kind of off and you've got slightly elevated levels of inflammation because of poor diet or lack of sleep, your dopamine levels are plummet. And you'll find that you'll be less productive, less motivated, because dopamine is what gives you that drive to want to do things. And you'll find that you just chronic inflammation just makes you less motivated overall.
Well, as it too doesn't want to like expend energy in other directions and conserve it all to really kind of fight the inflammation.
I think
internally.
I think your body needs more energy to heal, rather than giving you energy to do other things. But I mean, crazy, right? So if if you're somebody and you're like thinking to yourself, like, I used to be such a motivated person, I used to be so driven, and for whatever reason, I just don't feel like I used to. I would examine your overall health and see if things like getting better sleep, getting better diet, lowering your naturally lowering your inflammation, it will get that natural feeling of motivation and drive to go back.
This is how I felt yesterday, man. I felt I didn't have any motivation. I came home, and ideally I've found that like it's best for me to, before I even head home, to get my workout in here, or else it's really tough to motivate me to come back or leave the house, right? And so I got home last night and I told Katrina, I'm like, God, man, I told myself that I wanted to start the week off right, get a really good training session in today, and I just didn't feel like it. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go, but I'm going to go down to Gold's because I haven't gone down and lifted down there, or what's now American Barbell. And, on the way there, I've got my like rock playlist. I'm getting my...
Doing everything.
Yeah, I'm doing all the things I know.
Nickelback is
literally
just blaring.
But I mean, I think it's, I wanted to share this with the audience just because, I mean, I like to think I'm a fitness guy. We're all fitness guys, but even to us, there's moments like this where I wanted to just get on the couch and do nothing and just relax and call it a day. But I had already committed to myself that I'm going to have a really good week of training, and part of that having a really good week of training is making sure I get Monday a really good lift in on Monday to start my week off. It just makes a big difference for me. And so even though I came home and I was planning, I'm like, you know what? And I know it's like the worst time to lift around 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening because everybody's there. It's like, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to let those excuses get in my way. And then I head to the gym. Here's an example of a time I take a pre-workout. So I've got my pre-workout. I'm drinking on the way over there.
You get some dopamine going.
Yeah, I'm trying, right? Yeah. And I'm cranking the rock music on the way. And I tell you what, I had a phenomenal workout last night. And it does remind me of, and this is where I think we're all a little bit different, because I know you guys like to train at home or like your privacy in here and stuff. There's something about being in that atmosphere. And I don't know if it brings me back to being in old trainer days, or it's getting ready for a show stuff. But when I get in that atmosphere of the gym packed and all the meatheads walking around,
I still feel that.
It gets me.
I like being around meatheads.
Yeah,
dude.
it gets me going, and it makes me want to train and not stop a few reps short of a set. Like, I put in the extra effort. It's so
how do you feel today?
I feel great today.
Yeah,
I feel really good today, and I'm glad that I went and did that. So, sometimes that helps just to change the atmosphere. It's also part of why Katrina hates me for spinning,
having like 10 memberships.
Yeah, I do.
I do the same thing.
Every time
she canceled a bunch.
Every time she goes to the account, she questions it every time. Why are you paying for this? Tell me when the last time you went there. It says, it doesn't matter. I might want to be able to do it. And this is an example. This is why. This is why I don't cancel.
You're a fitness guy, bro. It's worth it to you. No, yesterday,
it's totally a write-off.
Yesterday I go home and I told Jessica, I'm like, I want a fucking hardcore workout today, so get ready. She's like, okay. So I get home and
I get the perfect playlist.
yeah. And yeah. Sail away, sail away, sail away, sail away. No, so I get home and the way I like to work out in my garage is different than I like to work out in the gym. When I go to a gym, I like to do high volume.
Machines,
I like to hypertrophy, connect to muscle, squeeze, get a good pump. Do stuff that I don't have access to. When I work out in my garage, it's old school caveman style. So literally, what I did was I picked one major exercise per muscle group, 5 sets, 5 reps. Nice. Heavy, hard, played metal. It was hot because it's in my garage, so it was hot outside. So I'm sweating, and oh fuck, I love those workouts.
Yeah, those are the best.
Oh, I love them, dude. They're just so fucking just angry. The problem with them though is if I train heavy too often, man, it hurts my joints.
Yeah, I know.
I can't do that shit all the time. You know what I mean?
I started what's that called? Mark Bell's the sleeve that goes over for slingshot for benching. Yeah, I started to really enjoy using that because of that simple fact. Because I would used to bench and just get after it, and then after I would just be like, oh my god, my shoulders hurt. I'm dying. And I started using that when I would get up in weight and I was doing 1 or 2 reps, and that's been saving my ass, dude. But yeah, I started getting into that mode where I just want to kill, and then one of my kids will come in and start doing gymnastic ring flips and things next to me. And I'm just get out of here, Daddy's busy.
It's dangerous.
Yeah. I don't want to hit you with something.
It's not safe in here right now.
Yeah, so I might need a gym access too.
Yeah, it's fun. Anyway, did you guys see the other article, dude? Here's one of the things I love about our private forum more than anything is I don't have to look for articles anymore. I swear to God, at least people ask me all the time, where do you get your articles or where do you read your research? People share them in our forum.
Yeah.
Somebody shared the other day a breakthrough. Now, this could very well be one of the greatest breakthroughs of our time.
What?
Yes.
I did not see this.
Yes. Scientists were able to use gut bacteria to convert type A blood, type B blood, and type AB blood into O.
What?
They were able to convert all the other types of blood into the universal type O. Because type O blood is universal.
Right.
It's the most wanted because everybody can use it.
Yeah.
Regardless of what your
type O negative, is that the?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, what they did was they by using gut bacteria, they were able to convert.
They alter it?
To alter it.
Wow. How? I don't understand.
Well,
they spin it together? Or
so
what?
blood types are just differentiated by the kinds of sugar that's found on the surface of the red blood cells.
Okay.
And type O has no sugars. And so in the past, they were trying to use enzymes that could remove the sugars. They're turning them into type O.
So the bacteria's eating it?
Yeah, but the problem is that the enzymes would destroy the blood. So they couldn't figure out how to do it. So they looked into the digestive tract, and they found that bacterial enzymes found in feces strip the sugars from the lining to aid in digestion in your gut, and these same bacteria are working on the blood. So, is this a very effective? Now that they've discovered this, they have to find a way to be able to do it effectively and cheaply en masse. But this could
and they've
very
been
well,
able to replicate this process.
Yes.
Wow.
But they have yet to do it on a large scale or be able to do it in a way where it's usable.
Yeah.
It's just a new way of converting blood into type O.
Dude, that's huge.
Could be massive.
Yeah.
Could
For
be
transfusions. Yeah, because that's always trying to find the right match a lot of times it's paramount to
cool.
just keeping people alive.
Speaking of groundbreaking, you guys see what Facebook announced today?
No.
That was literally today. They revealed its long-awaited cryptocurrency plans.
Cryptocurrency plans?
Yep. So
Explain.
They're calling it Project Libra. It's a new type of digital money designed for the billions of people using its apps and social network. If the plan is successful, users will soon be able to shop with and send stuff all through social media platforms using this new currency. And they've already got...
So they have their own currency. They're not allowing the use of other cryptos?
Well, it'll be a variety of other merchants like Uber, Spotify, MasterCard. Will also you'll be able to use their money to buy all these these things. So right now, I think they have close to like 100 different companies like the Ubers, the Spotifys, MasterCards that are on board with it, which means that it would be able to transfer it to that also. So if you had a MasterCard and you also own Libra cryptocurrency, you could pay down your MasterCard with your cryptocurrency and or buy music on iTunes and things like that. Like, so they've already, and by 2020, they're hoping that they've got, thousands of people that will, or companies that will join.
So how's this going to work? Is this like you buy them with your normal money and then you have their credit? How does that work?
Yeah, it's the same way that you buy crypto right now.
Like
so
tokens at Chuck E. Cheese.
kind of.
So what would be the benefit? I get confused sometimes.
Well, I do too.
Well, it's going to make things so much faster and streamless and more protected, right? So you're more protected with it. It'll be quicker the way you'll be able to do it. That's what everything we're doing. We're just moving to this faster, more convenient way of purchasing. I mean, you've seen it already. This transition we've made in the last 5 years. Don't you guys think it's crazy how quick? I mean, I was literally today. This is what I was doing today. Today, I bought a pair of, retro Reeboks.
Weren't you just saying how you started?
Shut up.
Okay.
Shut up. Right. That's beside the point.
Right. I bought a stormtrooper helmet, so I can't say
what.
Yeah, I did.
You guys are into some weird sex.
Well, you know what? But this is a good example, though. Stop calling me out like that because it's true.
These are not the droids we're looking for.
I've made a point to not buy sneakers anymore. Yet they still got me this morning because I'm just I'm scrolling on Instagram. Up pops in my feed this outfit. I liked it. Clicked on it. Goes to a page. I go to the page of the brand or whatever. And I go, I don't know. I'm scrolling through a few. And I'm like, oh, I've been wanting to get a pair of these classic Reeboks. I click on it, and it literally from the picture on Instagram, it sends me right to the website to buy. Double click on my iPhone, it's already in my my address and like that. It's being shipped to my house in 2 days.
Yeah,
wow,
like just all a snap of the finger.
Yeah, my it face IDs me real quick to authenticate the purchase. Boom, done. It's being shipped to my house.
Wow.
I mean, so it's just going to get quicker and easier to where I foresee us being able to triple hit something. And are you sure you want to buy? And then you just say yes or click.
I wonder if brick and mortar stores will be like that, where you'll walk in, you'll look at stuff, and you'll pick something up. You're like, I want this. Double tap. Yeah. It's already in your cart. It's already been purchased.
Yeah,
and then you leave. You have to wait in line.
Scan your eyes and all. It's the future, man.
Yeah,
we're living in it.
The future is here.
It's here.
Brought to you by MAPS Anabolic. If you're looking to maximize your overall muscle and strength, MAPS Anabolic is the perfect place to start. With a full 30-day money-back guarantee, there is absolutely zero risk. So what are you waiting for? Go to mindpumpmedia.com and get started today.
It's the motherfucking quad.
The eagle has landed.
Quee-qua.
First question is from Adrian. What is the best rest time in between sets for building muscle?
Best rest time. If you look at the studies are pretty clear, and they'll tell you
90 seconds.
90 seconds to 2.5, maybe even 3 minutes is ideal for building muscle.
But
right, there's a big but in there.
Caveat.
And not just from the muscle growth.
Not my butt.
Boom. Anyway, here's the but here. It depends on a lot of it depends on what your body's used to. So now, if you compare head to head rest periods, and you compare 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 90 seconds, 120 seconds, or whatever, and you compare them, the longer rest periods up to a certain point do build more muscle. They allow for more ATP to be replenished. That's the muscle energy that you use when you lift. They allow you to lift heavier weights, and that tends to contribute to more muscle growth. The problem is, if you stick to a rest period for too long, your body gets adapted to it and gets used to it, and switching out of that oftentimes triggers new muscle growth. I remember experiencing this for myself.
Me too.
As a kid, I remember reading the magazines, and all the magazines said for mass, rest 2 to 3 minutes between sets and lift heavy. And so I did that on all sets, 2 to 3 minutes, heavy. That's how I trained. And I remember talking to a friend of mine who was relatively muscular, and he says, I only rest about 30 seconds, and I get better pumps. And I remember trying it out, and my body just responded, and I built muscle. And it wasn't because the 30-second rest was superior, because my body wasn't used to it.
Right. Yeah. And the same rule applies if you're somebody who loves to circuit train. If you're somebody who always does the 30-second or less type of rest periods, and you go boom, 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 and you're hopping around and you're doing supersets, one of the best things that person could do are long rest periods and these heavy sets, right? Where you just do 5x5 and you rest for 2 or 3 minutes. Like that person will end up piling on a bunch of muscle just because their body is so adapted to the 30-second rest period. So typically what I would tell somebody when someone asks me a question like this, I before I respond, I say, well, what are you currently doing? And then whatever they're currently doing, I tell them like the furthest thing from that, right? So whatever's the most. So if someone's resting 60 seconds, let's just say, and that's what they do consistently, and I tell them to start resting for 90 seconds, not going to feel a big difference. But I tell that person to rest 3 minutes, that person will see a big difference. Or I tell that person to only rest 15 seconds, big difference. And both changing that rest period either north or south will stimulate more muscle growth because it's a new adaptation.
I would say 90% of people I've talked to, like I'm usually trying to get them to rest longer.
Yeah.
Just because of like the prevailing idea of how to build muscle out there is like usually in a circuit-based kind of a training situation where there's like you're really cutting out the rest and you're trying to like build in this like cardiovascular feel to it as well, and also like just like getting the pump and supersetting all the time and really cutting that time in between short. And it's harder to rest because if your mentality is you're in there to beast out, resting seems like counterintuitive,
especially today. We live in the CrossFit era. Yeah. Right. Before that, I don't know, maybe not so much, but it's become so popular now to build these little strength circuits where you have pull-ups, deadlifts, push-ups, and a kettlebell swing, and you do these, round robin circuits with like no rest in between exercises, like
because that shit's hard.
Oh yeah,
everybody loves that.
One of my favorite things is to take an ex-CrossFitter and put them through like a powerlifting type of a protocol, and give them long rest periods and watch them blow up.
So, Yep.
Real responsive.
I even like mixing things up sometimes because traditionally you would consider long rest periods with really, really heavy weight. But I like to do this sometimes too. I'll take a heavy weight and do like a double, so like 2 reps, and then cut my rest periods short. Now, I'm not going to be able to go as heavy as I could if I did a long rest period, but I like to test myself with shorter rest periods and heavy weight, and that's a great combination.
So after we haven't released this episode yet. This episode is coming soon, but after we hung out with, what's his name? Stevenson from Fortitude Training. And he talked about cluster sets.
Oh, right, right.
Yep. I actually started doing that. I've been doing that since I've seen him, and I love that. And it's that concept. It's 4 reps, 15 seconds in between.
Wow.
And you basically, it's one long set. And you can, what I found is I can lift pretty heavy weight. I can lift close to anything that I would be doing 5 to 8 reps easily if I'm only having to do 4, and that 15 seconds rest is just enough for me to gather it back till I can do it again, and I find myself being able to do at least 5 to 15 rounds of whatever it is that I'm doing. I really enjoy that.
Yeah,
right now.
I would say for the average person, you're probably looking to rest anywhere between 30 to 120 seconds. That's kind of the range that you'd want to look at, and play within that range. The shorter rest periods, here's what you'll notice. 30 seconds, a real 30-second rest, you're going to breathe a little bit harder, probably going to sweat a little more. You're not going to be able to lift as much weight. You'll probably get a better pump. The longer rest periods, you're going to feel stronger. You're going to lift heavier weight. It's not going to feel as grueling, but it will have a different feel to it in terms of, how it builds muscle or whatever. So play around with them. Enjoy the different rest periods. Get good at one, and then once you get good at one, get good at a different one.
So I was going to say, play around with it, but do it with some sort of structure so you can actually measure and see the difference.
Assess it. Yeah.
Right. A mistake that I used to do because I understood that once that light bulb went off, that, oh, wow, lifting this lighter weight, lower rest periods actually ended up building more muscle for me because I used to be the long rest period guy. Then it became like I would just like sporadically just throw it into all these routines, where then it becomes really hard to measure like how much gains you're getting from it or when you should probably phase out of it. So my recommendation is, if you're following one of our programs, it'd be great. You run a rest period for a phase, for a good solid 3 to 4 weeks, and then switch the rest period in the next phase. If you're not following one of our programs, then that's exactly what I'd say to you is run whatever rest period you want for a good solid 3 to 5 weeks, and then transition to another rest period for 3 to 5 weeks, and be consistent with all of your lifts and pay attention to what you see.
Next question is from Junior Wilson, 916. If you wake up with a kink in your neck or sore shoulders, is it okay to prime and work out through the soreness? If the soreness is turning into pain, is it better to stop?
This is a good question. Now, I want to, say this with a lot of caution.
Yeah.
Because if you have a kink in your neck, or you wake up with a joint that's sore, or you feel pain, oftentimes the right kind of movement and priming is the solution. Oftentimes it's what'll solve the problem. Maybe not immediately, but it'll solve the root of why you're getting pain in the first place. Now, here's the caveat. Doing the wrong stuff will make it worse. Mm-hmm. So you got to know what you're doing. Now, if I wake up with a kink in my neck, which happens sometimes, I have neck issues from jiu-jitsu, for my past jiu-jitsu use, I'll wake up with a kink in my neck. I know what movements help my neck. And so immediately what I do is, rather than taking ibuprofen and not moving and hoping it goes away, is I get up, I drink a glass of water once I'm up and awake, then I'll do my priming movements that I know help my neck. And typically I'm able to reduce the pain by a significant amount. Justin, you've been dealing with hip pain recently. You just went to Dr. Brink's.
Yep.
And he didn't tell you to not move and take...
No. Yeah. Take it off. No, I've been applying all those specific mobility drills and positions religiously. And it's a frequency issue. So it's a frequency issue for me, not having access to certain ranges of motion and not actively trying to connect with that part of my body. And so that's been a real conscious thing for me to, whenever I can, get into 90-90, really work on that internal rotation, prime myself ahead of time before any kind of squatting or any kind of movement. But I have not stopped moving. And it has been a little more recuperative type movement. I haven't been adding a lot of intensity to my workouts like I was there for a minute, except for my upper body for the most part. But it's already starting to pay off, and it's been like a week basically of just like real conscious effort to where I know it's going to be months of just consciously always doing this and making it part of a ritual and a routine. So, it might be something like that. It might just be that you slept wrong and you got a kink and you just need to, regain alignment and like get movement and movement heals.
It's always hard to troubleshoot something like this over a podcast without being able to see the person move or know exactly what's happened to him. But what I will say is that in my experience with clients that deal with pain and joint pain, more often than not, so 80 to 90% of the time, it's not like an acute injury. It's normally a either lack of mobility or movement with muscles that then causes a lot of stress on the joints. And that's kind of how MAPS Prime Pro is designed. So that I would, instead of priming or looking at the MAPS Prime program as your answer, this is where having Prime Pro comes in really handy, because we went through every major joint and then we addressed all these mobilities, and there's all the way up to the neck. So there's neck exercises.
Prime Pro is the only one with any neck exercises.
Yeah. So there's neck exercises, and so what ends up happening a lot of times is you've got a major joint on the body, right? Whether we're talking about the knees, the ankles, whatever, right? Shoulders, one of these major joints. And then you have all these surrounding muscles. Now, those surrounding muscles are responsible for taking that joint through its fullest range of motion in all directions that it's capable of. And what ends up happening over time is that we stop using it in all those directions. When we were kids, we played and like all of it. We rolled, we tumbled, we climbed on monkey bars. We do a really good job without even realizing it of exercising and moving these joints through their fullest range of motion and staying connected to them. And as we age, and this is like totally speaking from experience now, like I've felt this happen to myself, where we become more sedentary and we sit at desks and we drive in cars and we sit in offices and at computers all day long, and we're not playing and rolling around. And what happens is the body goes, hey, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. It starts to say, if Adam's not going to put his hands all the way above his head, we don't need to activate the muscles that are responsible to do that. But now here's the problem. Every once in a while, you have to put something above a shelf, or you have to do something. And then what ends up happening is the joint takes the stress instead of the muscles, because you're no longer training the muscles that were supposed to assist the joint in doing that movement.
You just start moving wrong. It's no different than when I was a kid at home, I spoke Sicilian, because before I went to school, that's what I spoke at home to my mom and my dad, and I was very fluent in Sicilian. As I started going to school, I spoke less and less of it, to the point now where I speak it occasionally. Now, what's ended up happening? I've lost my fluency. It's no different. Your body loses its movement fluency if you don't practice it and use it. And when you lose that fluency, your body's more apt to move in ways that are not optimal, and your joints are move in ways that are not optimal. Your knee can move in a way that'll minimize any potential damage and give it a long shelf life, or you can move your knee in a way where it's going to cause a lot of wear and tear, and you're going to cause a lot of pain and problems in a very short period of time. So that's what priming is all about. That's why, what Adam said, like most clients with pain, it's not because, like, when someone comes to me and says, oh, I have this shoulder pain, it's okay, well, did you hurt it? Well, I don't know, 5 years ago I hurt it. It's okay, so it's healed, but it still hurts. Now we're talking about a chronic issue that has to do with just poor recruitment patterns and poor mobility. So once you figure out what your movement pattern issue is and your mobility issue is, the path to fixing that pain is to fix those things. That's what's going to take care of the pain. It's not getting rid of the symptoms by taking anti-inflammatories. It's not. I remember when I was younger, if I hurt something or something hurt, the answer was to not use it anymore. Like, okay, just leave it alone. Don't move it anymore. No, the answer oftentimes is not that. The answer oftentimes is to use it, but use it in a way that gets it to move better.
Well, and to throw a little more caution out there, for me, like my tendency when I have like pain and I feel like I have the answer for it is to overdo it. Like, and so I was doing a lot of mobility exercises and I was like really trying to push through the pain, which was not aiding in any of my recovery.
Well, you're just a fucking bulldog.
Well, I know there's other people out there that are like that. They're like, well, okay, so if it's a neck thing, I'm just going to stretch it, like. And so you have to be conscious of the threshold there, like when your body's speaking back to you, like loudly, like that's when you stop.
I also think that we're seeing more and more neck and shoulder stuff because of the phones and the computers. Like this is it's not a new issue per se because it's just natural as we age. The body's closing up and we're rounding over. Everyone's seen the 7-year-old grandma or grandpa that's walking around the walker, so it's not new. But I think it's accelerated more than we've ever seen in history before because we now have these devices that we can't stop at a stop sign. We can't stop at a walking down the street and we can't be in a grocery store line. We can't do anything anymore of just standing there upright. We are right away, we default to looking down at our phone, and that just it just exaggerates the problem. I mean, now you have forward head even more. We already are forward, and so when you have forward head and you got these rounded shoulders, and it doesn't take much sleeping the wrong way or moving a little wrong way to get this pain or your body bothering you. This is why too, when people go to like chiropractors and chiropractors pop them or realign them into neutral spinal line, why it feels so amazing.
It feels great.
What feels so amazing isn't the magic that he did on you. It's that he stacked your joints correctly. He put you back in the anatomical position where you're supposed to be. And that's what feels so amazing. Now, the problem is, you got all these muscles,
like that.
Yeah, these muscles that are countering it because you're shaping the body formed over in this rounded position all day. So, one of the best things to help somebody's neck and shoulder is to just assess where their head and their shoulders are. If they're in this weird, awkward kind of rounded forward position, like, yeah, no shit, your neck or your shoulder hurts because of where you're at. Like, stack them the way they should be and see if you feel that way. And then if it's really difficult to get you in that position, that's an obvious thing that you need to work on, and that's where the priming comes in before every workout and addressing zone 1.
Next question is from Jake Bauer 7. How can you tell whether a study is BS or not? With so many contradictory studies, how can you tell what to believe?
Yeah, I learned this a long time ago. I used to train.
If Lane shares it, it's probably BS. If Mind Pump shares it, it's probably
Shout out to Lane.
No, I used to train this lady that conducted studies. This is actually part of what she did. She worked for, I think it was Davis University in Davis, California, and we would talk a lot about studies and nutrition studies and fitness studies. And she would ask me questions about the studies. How big was the sample size? Was it double-blind, placebo-controlled? Did they duplicate it? And I remember being like, I don't know any of this stuff. So she started to explain to me the things you want to look at in studies. For example, sample size. This is very important because if I do a study on 5 people that may not be a sample size that's large enough to really give me a good answer. I might have picked 5 people that all react the same way to a particular, nutrition plan or whatever.
But you could have picked 30 more and they all didn't react that way.
Right. So sample size makes a big difference. You want to have a big sample size. Double-blind, placebo-controlled is considered the gold standard. Now, what does that mean? Double-blind means that neither the people being studied nor the people conducting the test know who is getting the studied ingredient or who the people are that are getting tested with the whatever the
control is.
Whatever the control is, they don't know. So, for example, let's say I want to test and see if vitamin D helps with depression, and I get 250 people, and I give them half of them vitamin D and half of them I give a placebo, so it's got nothing. Double-blind, placebo-controlled means that the researchers don't know who gets the vitamin D, and the people who are being studied don't know who gets the vitamin D. Placebo-controlled means we are also taking a side of this sample group and giving them nothing, because you always want to test against nothing to see what the difference is. So that's kind of your gold standard. Here's the other thing too. Most nutrition studies are not controlled. They're not double-blind,
long enough,
and they're not long enough. Most nutrition studies are surveys. Mm-hmm. So most of them are just, hey, we asked 1,000 people how they ate, and then we asked them 3 months later how they ate, and then we asked them a year later how they ate, and then we asked them 5 years later how they ate. And here's what we
know
found.
how flawed that is with clients like trying to report what food that they ate, just for a week.
It's also, you also don't know. There's a lot of stuff sometimes that we don't necessarily see a connection. I'll give you, this is a great classic example. So now we know today that coffee, for the most part, and when I say for the most part, if it's appropriate for you, so if you have good tolerance to caffeine and you're otherwise healthy, coffee is extremely healthy by itself. Black coffee, right? It's got full of antioxidants. Caffeine has got health benefits in and of itself. It's not dehydrating like we were led to believe when we were kids. It's actually a decent source of hydration because it's got a lot of water in it. So for all intents and purposes, studies are pretty clear that coffee, if you're healthy, probably pretty damn good for you. Now, if you looked at the studies that were done 30 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, you would have read studies that said coffee is linked to cancer. Right. Coffee is linked to
heart.
People, bad hearts.
Elevate your heart rate.
Yeah,
cortisol spike.
Well, no, not just that. Like the studies back then were showing like people who drink a lot of coffee had more heart disease, had higher rates of cancer, and just died sooner. And so people thought coffee probably is not a good thing. Now here's the problem. They didn't control for the fact that people who drank a lot of coffee 30 years ago also tended to smoke a lot of cigarettes.
Yeah, you forget that. That was the thing.
They went hand in hand.
Yeah, black coffee and a cigarette was like the gold standard.
Right.
Sounds amazing.
So again, if you look at studies, probably, if you look at studies that show that meat consumption is tied to cancer, you got to look a little deeper. People today who consume a lot of meat tend to be people who are not health conscious. It's true. People who consume a lot of meat today, because we've been raised for the last 40 years to believe that meat's bad, health conscious people, except for people in the know, health conscious people tend to avoid meat. People who just eat lots of meat are people who are not health conscious because again, so when you break it down and you look and you see like, wait a minute, these guys are consuming hot dogs.
Right. Burger King, McDonald's. Cut those people out.
Yeah, lunch meats and shit like that. Like
anybody that eats bologna is definitely cut out.
Yeah, and also look at the rest of their lifestyle. Like here's another one. Multivitamins. Studies show that people who take a multivitamin live longer and have better health. Well, when they dive deeper, they find that there's a little bit of a self-selection bias there where...
Right. What type of person actually takes the time to take a multivitamin? Yeah, same person who probably works out and actually makes better food choices.
That's right. So this is why it's important to look at... And also look and see if it's been duplicated. Do you know... I forgot what it was, but in the nutrition space specifically, a majority of studies are not... They can't duplicate.
They have a hard time.
They can't.
I've heard the same thing. Yeah, they can't replicate that same exact the result. Like, they just can't do it.
Let me put it to you this way. So just so you understand, the FDA's process for reviewing a drug and approving a drug to be sold as a pharmaceutical is by far the most stringent, regulated, insane process on earth. It costs, I don't know how many tens of millions of dollars, maybe even $100 million, to take a drug from conception to approval to be able to be sold as a medication. Okay, so and this is for all drugs. This is why you see so many drugs of the same category, because it's so damn expensive to come up with a new drug that they're better off just taking an opiate and just tweaking it a little bit, because they don't have to go through all the same vigorous whatever. But if you invent a new drug, it's going to cost you millions and millions and millions of dollars and about 10 years before it gets approved. That's how rigorous it is. And we're talking about studies on animals, and then human studies and trials and long trials and all this stuff. And guess what? Every single day, there are drugs that got approved by the FDA that have to get recalled.
Yeah.
Because we've discovered that it did something else that we didn't see in the
crazy
studies.
side effect that was horrible.
Yeah, so now I'm not saying this to freak everybody out and say don't trust studies. I'm just saying look at the studies, take them with a grain of salt, look at the big picture, look at the context, and don't throw out wisdom.
Yeah.
Like, there's still some wisdom there. So if you read a study that sounds kind of crazy, like study shows that people who drink wine, are healthier than people who don't. Okay, there's a little bit of logic, like a little wisdom that says, wait a minute, this kind of sounds fucked up. Like, what do you mean they're drinking alcohol every day? Yeah. Let's look a little deeper and see what's going on. Or, compound in chocolate shown to do whatever. Or this study shows that fat oxidation increases with this substance. Therefore, this is a fat burning pill you're going to take. Like, take it with a grain of salt. Like, here's what we know for sure. Whole natural foods, probably the best. Definitely the best for you. Don't overeat. Definitely true. There's a wide variety of ways people can eat to be healthy. There's societies where people eat mostly plants. There's societies where people eat lots of meat. Those are all pretty healthy. When it comes to exercise, some activity is better than no activity. Resistance training, best way to build muscle. If you want to live in modern life, you want to have a faster metabolism, you should probably build muscle. You should probably lift weights. Getting good sleep and quality sleep, that's probably a good thing. Having good social connections, having good friendships, having a life that's got stress in it, but you manage it well, so it's got some meaning. Like, that's all stuff we kind of know. All the other details and stuff, I'd say take it with a grain of salt. Look and see what the study says. Look and see if there's other studies that are similar. And again, be skeptical. I think is the best.
Oh, yeah.
That's the best approach. Be skeptical.
Yeah, definitely be skeptical. I'm like very much like I don't like to be adamant about one thing. Like I just get pissed when people are like so confident in that one study.
Well, yeah, like for example, people in our space like to talk about how safe and great artificial sweeteners are, and they're perfectly fine, and studies will show. And I'm a skeptical person. I'm like, well, we created them. We invented artificial sweeteners. They're synthetic. So I'm gonna be so skeptical, but I'm saying, it's probably not as good for me as whole natural foods are. Whole natural foods have been around since the beginning of time.
I'm gonna wait it out.
Yeah, so let's just wait it out and see what's going on.
Next question is from J.M. Wardle. With both Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson going down with serious injuries at about the same time at the very end of the season, do you think these injuries are due to overuse and lack of recovery? Do you think the NBA could or should implement measures to limit these things from happening, such as shorter playing seasons, etc.?
This is a cool question. Ooh. I'm so pumped that you guys picked this question to talk about.
We totally did.
Yeah, I did, because I told them on the post. I said, listen, if the boys don't want to talk about this, I do want to talk about this, because I think this is an interesting topic, and this is totally the conversation that my best friends and I would have over a beer, over a beer and barbecue weekend type of deal, right? So you got, first of all, let me explain to you guys so you understand the two injuries, because then I know you can intelligently discuss.
Well, Kevin Durant blew out his Achilles.
Right.
Yeah. You told us about that.
Well, originally they thought he had a calf strain, and that's what they said he had, and he was out for about 3 weeks. Now, personally, when I saw it, I right away said, that's Achilles for sure. And what I thought was he probably just had a partial tear. He didn't have a full tear. He comes back in the championship game,
goes hard and blows it out
completely, right? And then Klay went up for a dunk. When he came down, when he landed, his knee did a little wobble and ACL went. He tore his ACL. So knowing that, and the question, the way they're asking this question, do I think that some of this is due to wear and tear, overusage on the player? 100% I do. Yeah. Now, here's the thing. Now, Clay's was a complete freak accident, landing like that. If he could have played that whole game and not jumped like that, and he could be totally fine. So that's partially a freak accident. I think Kevin Durant's probably a little bit of overusage. Do I think the NBA should restructure or change things? Personally, no. I think this is why you pay these Warriors. Yeah. And I think they get paid extremely high dollars because they're at risk. They put their bodies at risk.
Yeah, this is gladiators. I mean, like at the end of the day, what we're doing, we're paying to be entertained, and we're by people who are at, obviously a level that we could never achieve, and they're throwing their entire body out there for us on display. And so it's tough because you want to like empathize with the athletes out there and like make sure that they're being acknowledged and taken care of. But within the training and with the off season and the strength and like that all has to be like really strictly managed leading up into like really high demand type situation like the playoffs or the finals.
I love that you compared it to like gladiators, right? Like of the old times, because that's what this is. Obviously, we can't put 2 men in a ring into the death anymore.
Too bad,
right?
That'd be so.
But there's a reason.
Pay-per-view like crazy.
I mean, think about that. There is a reason through all of human history we've been drawn to this, right? Yeah. Why? What is it about this that we love to see? And sports is a reflection of that, because we can. It's the close now. To that point, I think if we continue to eliminate the risk of injury and protect the players, I think it'll actually start to take away from the sport, because who would have back then wanted to watch two guys get in the into the Coliseum and play with Nerf swords?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And we all sat like, would people be into it if it was like a point scoring system and they had Nerf swords?
The stakes aren't as high.
Right. Because the stakes are so high, you don't want to put yourself in that arena, or you don't have the skill to put yourself on that basketball court. It's so entertaining to watch these athletes who have trained their whole lives and at their peak performance battle it out and potentially not die, but could get really hurt and injure themselves.
Plus, how many times have these athletes felt a twinge? Or first off, I would like for them to pick one athlete that's out there competing that doesn't have something that's hurting at the moment.
I know.
Like, good luck. Like, anytime I've ever competed in anything, when I was real heavy into judo or jiu-jitsu, at some point, something hurt always. Something was always hurting in my body. And so with these athletes, again, you're sacrificing your body. You're putting yourself out there. And time again, you've gone out there while you hurt and you came out victorious. Mm-hmm. So what makes you think it's going to be any different this time?
Right.
And plus, that's what makes you who you are. Now, do I think it's the trainer's fault? Do I think it's the league's fault? At the end of the day, you know whose fault it is? The player. They have all the responsibility. It's their body. Mm-hmm. Now, the coaches and the trainers, their job is to identify these things and to be smart counsel. Like, who knows? Maybe Kevin Durant's trainer said, I don't think you should go out there. And maybe Kevin Durant said, no, I'm going out there.
Ignored the advice.
Oh, I absolutely think that's what happened.
Yeah,
I absolutely think that he shouldn't have, which is also, and again, like all my buddies and I were all talking like, man, so much admiration and respect for that man, knowing
exactly
that he had a major injury like that he shouldn't be out there, but yet he
showed like immense heart.
Right, put himself on the line. That's part of what makes the sport so.
That's the drama of it.
It is.
Here's the thing, dude. That's why we pay them.
Yep.
You don't want to admit that, but they make a fuck ton of money,
right?
For a reason, because it's a short window,
right?
And that's tough to acknowledge that fact. But like, if you go into different sports where the stakes are even higher, like a football or like a MMA or something like that, I'm an advocate of paying them more, like especially in MMA, they're way grossly underpaid.
One of the saddest things I ever saw was I went to a big fitness convention. And there was an old pro wrestler there signing autographs. You guys remember the Iron Sheik?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was there signing autographs. And when I saw him, I grew up watching him wrestle, and I watched, WW. Back then it was WWF. And I remember he was probably 60 when he was signing these things, maybe 60, right? He had a cane, and he could barely get up and stand up and sign autographs. And I remember having a conversation afterwards, and I told my dad about it. And I'm like, man, this guy was so strong and so muscular. And he goes, these guys, they sacrifice their bodies. And then later on, I met Joe Montana. And Joe Montana, I remember watching him walk and being like, what's wrong with his legs?
Yeah.
And one of my buddies was like, oh, he's on so much pain medicine and shit like that. And you realize, like, that's what do they say? You sign your soul to the devil. I mean, that's true here. What you're doing when you're going into this profession, you're going to have fame, money, power, glory. What you're not going to have is longevity, mobility.
Right.
You're not going to have a long career.
That's why you can't equate fitness in that equation.
No.
Now it's kind of cool too, though. This is also what I think is just part of the evolution of the sport. I'm a big fan of basketball and like have followed it and even watched like and read old history and how we got here. And it used to be that you had a team, but you played your like 5 best players the entire time. Like that's just it. And then we seen like someone like Dean Smith come on the scene and start rotating through the players all the time so those guys could get rest, and found that like, oh, if I had a decent, maybe I don't have all A players, but I got these B players who can come in, give my A players a little bit of rest, put them back in, then they have more energy so they can pound the other team. And then we saw that was the first big movement in this like player rotation thing. And then you have coaches like Phil Jackson and you have Popovich who have really revolutionized how they do it, to the point where they'll actually, throughout the season, it's a very long season, they rest some of their superstars. A lot of times you would see...
Yeah, it's a smart coach.
Right. You would see some of our star players not start that game. It's not because he's not the best player or he's being punished. It's because he's being smart. Like, I know we've got over 80 games that we've got to play right now. I'm going to let one of my best players sit this game out, and he would intentionally do that. So I just think we're seeing another evolution of that, and the teams of the future, and the Warriors are a good example of this. In fact, we are the tagline for the last championship Warrior team was strength in numbers, because Kerr was known for playing so many of the bench players. And in fact, in this last championship run, I think we played like 12 or 13 players in the championship game, where I think the Raptors would play 7.
Do these players have insurance? Are they able to, like, I know you were talking about how Kevin Durant was waiting, the next contract was supposed to be the big one, blew out his Achilles. Do these guys purchase insurance in case of shit like that?
No. And
why?
Well,
their contract, sure, is affected by that, right?
So because he's out of contract, he's fucked. If he was in contract, he's protected, right? So in contract.
But do they have separate? Because you know how like singers and actresses and actors can buy insurance to, like, they can insure like their voice or whatever. Like, if something happens to me, I can't sing anymore. Right. I wonder if there is. They've got to have something like that.
I'm sure there's some sort of.
I would do that shit.
I can't imagine that it. I don't know. That's a
good question. I don't know.
I doubt too many insurance companies, without you paying a huge premium, would take much.
It'd be worth it, in my opinion.
Well, it'd be worth it for the athlete. You're right.
That's
no
what I mean.
brainer. But I would question what insurance company would take on a high profile athlete that would end up costing them a ton of money to pay them out,
and the risk is so high.
Right? It's like, it's the reason why if you've got cancer and all kinds of stuff, and then you go to the doctors and you try and get insurance, you're paying through the fucking roof because you're high risk.
Right.
An athlete would be extremely high risk.
Yeah, you're a football player and you're like, I'd like to insure my, I don't want to get hurt, and they're like, fuck that.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, there's a 90% chance this guy's getting hurt. What insurance company's going to do that without you having to pay like $1 million premium? Right?
I think that what you're seeing now in sports and the future of sports, in my opinion, is the being able to identify when you need to take an athlete out, when you need to focus on recovery, when you need to train them in a particular way to prevent injury, because it's expensive to the teams to have these injuries. It's expensive to the league, and it looks bad. The more injuries you have, the more sad stories you hear. It's kind of like a black eye, on the sport. Like if a football player gets just cleaned out with a hit and he gets a concussion and can't play anymore, it looks bad. Yeah. So I think what's smart, what they're starting to invest in is how to identify
detection.
Yeah, like, okay, we need to take you out now, and we can put you in everything.
This has already happened.
Yeah, they're working on that.
This is also why I love sports. Is we'll see it in professional sports before we see it hit the general population. Yeah. Like the Warriors, before anybody on this podcast probably heard of Halo or Noonie, or even HRV, the Warriors were already implementing it into the system. Like, they're already using stuff like that. They have coaches on staff that are supposed to track the steps of their players in the movement. Like, oh, Iguodala is at, he's done, 75,000 steps this week and his HRV is reading this. Tomorrow he's light day, back off. Yeah. Who were we just, was it Paul? Was it Paul that was using technology like that for his training his athletes?
Corey does.
Corey.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was Corey who was talking about that. He does that already with his he works side by side. He's the strength conditioning coach. He works side by side by the practice coaches and the team coaches, and he would tell them like, hey, take it easy on Justin today. He's measuring here on his HRV. We just had a hard training session, so don't go balls and walls. So we're already starting to do this.
Also, imagine this is what I think about when I hear about like athletes like this having these major injuries or whatever. I think about what a growth. I mean, what a challenge that you must go through. Like let's say you're a boxer. I was into boxing a lot when I was a kid, and you think about these guys who are just animals in the ring, indestructible, and then they start losing, and you've identified so strongly with the fact that you're this amazing athlete, and now you're not. Like what a hard fuck. Like what do I do now?
Oh yeah, it's heartbreaking.
I can't even imagine.
No, you guys should watch on Showtime. It's a documentary on DeMarcus Cousins called Resurgence. So they documented when he tore his Achilles. So DeMarcus Cousins is the center that's on the Warriors. We picked him up this last year because no team would touch him because he just tore his Achilles. And so they did a documentary on Showtime of his whole rehab and the mental of that happening to him. He was right. He was on pace to having a career year with the Pelicans. They were on pace to go to the playoffs and thought they were going to make a run at the Warriors back then. And then he tears his Achilles, goes down, and what that
crazy.
Did. Oh yeah. So I can't imagine.
It's like you lose your identity
completely.
I'm this amazing athlete. I'm known for being this amazing athlete. Now I'm not.
And we see this. That's definitely an example of, and we're using a professional athlete, but normal average people. I'm seeing this right now with my buddies' dads that are retiring. That's
why you don't identify with your body. Don't identify with these things. You're in for a hard fall.
Spent their whole lives as a whatever said job. And their job was to be a provider and a father and to work your ass off at this job. And then it's like now retirement's here.
Depressed.
And they're depressed as fuck because who am I? And they're trying to figure out. And I'm watching it be expressed in different ways. I'm seeing, one of I refer to being like a father figure to me because he is like a father who's going down smoking cigarettes like crazy and just angry and bitter and just not happy with himself and depressed. Then the other one's just lost, confused. He's already bored of golfing. So you're seeing this. I'm watching it firsthand happen. Whoa, how important it is to not get so tunnel vision, which I know is important for success, but to be
don't identify with it.
Right.
That's the key.
Yeah, it's you can be focused on an area, but it's not.
It's like those. It's like those Hollywood actors and actresses who are so good looking and so known for being good looking and identify so strongly, just can't fucking deal with aging.
And they try and preserve it as much as they can with plastic surgery and everything.
When my dad retired, he went crazy and just fucking. Did the back tore up the whole lawn and planted all kinds of different plants and did the front yard and just it was like months of just figuring shit out that I needed to be able to
reorganizing everything.
Yeah, it was a tough transition. Anyway, with that, go to mindpumpfree.com and download our guides. They're all absolutely free. You can also find us all on Instagram. You can find me at mindpumpsal, Adam at mindpumpadam, and Justin at mindpumpjustin.
Oh yeah!
Thank you for listening to Mind Pump. If your goal is to build and shape your body, dramatically improve your health and energy, and maximize your overall performance, check out our discounted RGB Super Bundle at mindpumpmedia.com. The RGB Super Bundle includes MAPS Anabolic, MAPS Performance, and MAPS Aesthetic. 9 months of phased expert exercise programming designed by Sal, Adam, and Justin to systematically transform the way your body looks, feels, and performs. With detailed workout blueprints and over 200 videos, the RGB Super Bundle is like having Sal, Adam, and Justin as your own personal trainers, but at a fraction of the price. The RGB Super Bundle has a full 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can get it now plus other valuable free resources at mindpumpmedia.com. If you enjoy this show, please share the love by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes and by introducing Mind Pump to your friends and family. We thank you for your support, and until next time, this is Mind Pump.